Hi, everybody. It's me and Sammy, and I just wanted to show you what Sammy's been working on. See how he's rocking back and forth on his elbows? So he can transfer his weight from elbow to elbow. And there he's got his knee up. Look at that. He is going to be crawling soon. And so I have been rolling around with him because he's strong enough now that I can hold onto his arms and rock him back and forth and rock him back and forth on his elbows. And he is now able to do it on his own. It's so cool. So he loves to roll around, and when I do it to him, he giggles. And so anyway, I just noticed right now that he is doing it on his own now. He's rocking back and forth. So because he can transfer that weight from elbow to elbow, he's gonna crawl soon. He scooches around. He might actually do it for you guys. So this is great. There he goes. He actually used to be completely limp. And he's reaching for his toy there, looking at me. And so, anyway, we have been doing a bunch of therapies. Not a bunch, really. Just really only 2 that have been really, really helpful to me and to him. And you guys got to check it out if you have a kid with special needs. And especially if it's related to malnutrition. Because, you know, that's rebuildable, you know. And that's what happened to Sammy. He was severely malnourished and his brain atrophied. It shrank. And he couldn't even move. He forgot how to swallow repeatedly for years. He was having seizures for like 2 whole years. He was having seizures. And it was terrible. So he's been 1.5 years seizure free. He can move. He's about to crawl. And this has been such a long-term process, okay? But neuromovement, the Anat Baniel method, if you look that up, ABM or neuromovement, you'll find the right people. And then also osteopathy. I've had 2 really amazing osteopathic doctors that have helped us. Just with sending really gentle signals like through his body and into his brain. Excuse me. And also they've helped on so many levels, these osteopathic doctors. So check that out too. Someone who's really good with kids and special needs kids. Yeah, so he's 4 years old and still learning how to crawl. He can feed himself, which took a whole 2 years for him to be able to swallow on a consistent basis. Oh, I'm just so happy with how he's moving back and forth onto his from his elbows. It's just amazing. I mean, I've been waiting for him to crawl for 4 years now. I guess 3 years. But by 1 year, I knew something was really wrong. That's when we found everything out. He was 1 year. His left arm still gets caught under his body. See? So, he doesn't have full control over his left arm yet. Or his right, for that matter. But he is definitely right-handed. He eats with his right hand. and sucks on his right hand, chews on his right hand, picks stuff up with his right hand. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so just want everyone out there to take a look at Sammy here and how hard it's been for him. And, you know, he's doing great now, but you guys, it was so bad. You know, people were really worried and really mad at me for what happened. Mm-hmm. And so I want you all to be aware of that, what happened actually, because it's pretty intense. And we've been in it bad for 3 years now. He's better now. He's just getting better and better now, but believe me, you never want to deal with a kid who can't swallow repeatedly for a really long time. It's not fun. And kids, babies, especially, because their brains are not developed, their nervous systems are not developed, they cannot be vegan. You gotta nourish their brains and their nervous systems. And that means egg yolks when they're little. You know, they can have egg yolks at 4 months. They can start eating like soft-boiled egg yolks. It's so good for them. They need the animal fat and protein that it takes to build a brain. Adults can get away with it. You know, my other son, we started being vegan when he was 3. My older son, I have an older son, and he actually suffered too. Not as bad as Sammy. Sammy really, really suffered because of this, but the older one, you know, he was 3, so his brain was already developed way more than an infant. So, you know, he was vegan with us for 7 years, and he did not have this kind of damage, okay? So I'm really specifically talking to pregnant women, breastfeeding women, and newborn babies. You can't mess around with this. Okay? Your milk will be deficient as a vegetarian and a vegan. And so you have to supplement. You gotta do something. I mean, you yourself probably shouldn't be vegan or vegetarian, but definitely don't do it to the baby. And I should have, you know, when they said breast is best, you know, I really should have taken into consideration the formula, because and I didn't know, but hey buddy, formula would have actually been better for him, because it would have been like I was malnourished myself, is what I'm trying to say, and my breast milk was deficient. And he did not do good. Hi. And I think, you know, for young children whose brains are developing, you really shouldn't do it, you know, and it's not good for their bones and stuff. Here, Sammy, let's get into a better position. I'll come over here so you guys can watch him moving and just take it in. This is very different. Okay, this is very different than a normal 4-year-old. Normal 4-year-olds go to preschool. Normal 4-year-olds like throw tantrums and really get into stuff and can open cabinets and like go to school even. Go to school. And he is just not there. Okay? I have been dealing with an infant for the last 4 years. Worse than an infant. It was so bad. You couldn't lay the kid down without him having a seizure. But we've nourished his brain with highly nutritious foods, and he stopped having seizures on the ketogenic diet with help from doctors and dietitians. And my mom, she's been key, major factor in helping me and helping him. Look at him go. He's gonna crawl. You see that? It's just he's not super coordinated yet. The coordination part of the brain is still healing or developing, whatever it is. Look at that. He turned around so I could I came over here and then he turned around, so I should be back over there, but now we can watch him play, I guess. So, this is definitely an extreme case. I was vegan for 7 years before I got pregnant. Had 2 miscarriages in between. But I would occasionally even eat eggs and like cheese but mostly just eggs for a really long time, and then vegan. And so for 7 whole years, 2 miscarriages in between. And then when I got pregnant with him, Sammy, I actually started eating chicken and cheese because I was not feeling well. And when he was born, I pretty much went back to being vegan and maybe just eating eggs. And my breast milk was deficient, and by 8 months he was mostly normal, maybe a little slow, to be honest, but he was smiling and giggling and getting on his hands and knees and doing very normal things. He never crawled, he never sat up, but at 8 months he started getting really sick. So my breast milk was completely deficient of vitamin B12 and any real fat and building things that your body needs. And he, ever since has been, he was really, really sick for 2 years, and now he's on his way up. But hey, buddy, want to say hi to the camera? Hi. Hey. Hi. Yeah. So there for a long time, he wouldn't even make noises. He, is doing so much better now. And you guys will never really know, like, how bad it was, because I lost all of my footage, all of my pictures from that time period. It's so weird. I don't even have a video of him doing a seizure. Yeah, I put it all on a flash drive and I got corrupted. So I just decided to start documenting from now when he's doing better. Hey, bud. Let's see how he gets out of this. So he can go around that. Look at that, pulling his elbow up, scooching. Hey, honey. I think he's getting tired of me videoing him, ignoring him, and just talking. So yeah, this isn't a very extreme case, and I was vegan for very long, and but I'm not the first woman for this to happen. Absolutely not. Look it up on the internet. Actually, 2 people in Florida just got sentenced for manslaughter because their 2-year-old died. And it's just like, like I said, he was normal. It was normal until it really wasn't. And I was very, very lucky. I had people who told me, hey, like, something's really wrong, And it was hard for me to realize as well because I was also deficient. And so it was just, it's a serious situation. And I wasn't making good decisions or, really realizing how bad it was. And so anyway, it wasn't diagnosed until 13 months. So from 8 till 13 months, that's how long it took us to finally figure out what it was and that he, really needed help. So ever since then, we've just been doing our best with him and healing and building, and it is possible. But, yeah, I read about one other case on the internet, very similar to his. It was either a vegan or a vegetarian mother, female infant, went into the hospital around 12 months. He was 13 months. And so that's just another month of demyelination and damage to the brain and the nervous system. And demyelination and deterioration of the brainstem, okay? And so the female infant, was 12 months old when she went to the hospital and did, in fact, get the same seizure type activity as Sammy. I'm pretty sure Sammy's was probably worse than hers. But spasms, I think they were calling them spasms in the study. But yeah, so over time, by the time this infant was 12, she was actually performing normally in school. So that means, walking, talking, able to read, like performing normally in school by 12. And so we'll see about Sammy. He's 4. And he can make noises. I am working with him on no. So I think he's understanding stuff as well. No and eat and some signing in there, more, and chewing. I signed for chewing because he's had a really hard time chewing. Wow, okay. That's a lot of movement for him. What else am I working with him on? Up and crawling, obviously. Transferring weight from one side of his body to the other. I've been working on that. Yeah. And maybe some other signing too. I know there's a few others. Just can't think of them right now, but hair. He likes to pull on hair. And so teaching him that his hair hurts when I pull on it. And I don't let him pull on my hair. I will pull on his back, and he usually lets go pretty fast once I get a piece of his hair. And he actually knows when I'm talking about hair as well. Pretty sure he knows what that means. Huh, Sammy? He's looking at us. He's giving us the side eye. Anyway, my sister's kid is 7 months younger than Sammy. And just in such a different place. Beyond. It's so different. And so, if you are vegan and pregnant, or vegan and breastfeeding, or vegetarian, pregnant, or breastfeeding, just think about maybe not doing that. And getting your baby some nutrition. Like I said, look up highly nutritious foods. If your baby or young one already has brain damage, whether it's cerebral palsy or malnourished, shrinkage of the brain, atrophy, or seizures, anything, neuro movement, check it out. The ketogenic diet to help control seizures. Just the ketogenic diet in general for your brain is super great. Find a dietitian. But if you can't do keto without the highly nutritious foods. So some people try keto for their special needs kids, and it doesn't work. And because you can't do that without highly nutritious foods. They need the right stuff. So look it up. Actually, one book that I highly recommend is called, let me think, just a second, I gotta look the bookshelf. These books over here, oh my gosh. Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. Oh, that's a painting I've done. Working on another one. Another part of the Lord's Prayer. Anyway, and this book, Nourishing Traditions, Book of Baby and Child Care, also by Sally Fallon. This is where I got the idea for keto, after a doctor pointed me in the direction of these books. Then she talks about keto in there for the brain. And one more story I have to tell you before checking out of this video. I don't really know anybody with special needs or dealing with special needs or special needs kids. Never been around it. Sammy's my first encounter with a special case. Not even autism, really. Haven't been around, any of it. No relatives, nothing. No one that I know, And so the first person I meet at one of our neuro movement practitioners introduced me to a woman with a special needs daughter who has brain damage. And the doctors weren't really able to tell them what's wrong or anything like that. And so anyway, I was there meeting with her, and we were talking about our kids and our lives and neuro movement and all that stuff. And I was telling her about Sammy and what happened and how I was vegan. And, he's there. She's seeing him having a seizure, like, in my arms. And, she had left her daughter. I unfortunately didn't get to meet her daughter. She had left her daughter with her mom because she's high maintenance, and I get it. Once they get this big and they can't walk, it's so difficult. And getting them in and out of the car, getting them in the right chair when they can't hold themselves up. I mean, there's just a million things I never thought about before. But, so her daughter wasn't there. And Sammy's there, and he's having seizures. And, she sees this, and she's listening to my story. And she's like, what? You were vegan? And I was like, yep. And she, she thought that, wow, that could never happen. And a lot of people still... I even talked to a neurologist that was like, no, that doesn't happen. And I was like, it did. Okay, they did the genetic testing. They did it. It was so apparent that it was malnutrition, severe malnutrition, and a B12 deficiency. And it happened. And it happens as I am not the first person. Okay. And so... Anyway, mine is a bad case. I'm not going to lie. Hope no one ever has to do this with their kid, but happened to me. So, happened to us. And so anyway, she looks at me and she's like, you were vegan? Like, what? I was like, yep, 100%. You heard me. And she's like, I was vegetarian and I've been vegetarian. And I was like, oh, snap. Oh, snap. So, just think about it, okay? Her child, also brain damage, and they can't explain it. They at least were able to explain it with me, and it was just a very obvious situation, you know. I told him I was vegan when we got to the hospital. They tested his blood. They didn't test my blood, but they you know, they're like and they tested his blood. Comes out that B12 isn't even detectable in his system. And they start injecting him with B12 injections. They get him on formula, tube down his nose. He immediately forgets how to suck when the formula is going down his nose. And that was the last thing he could do. You know, he forgot how to smile. He forgot how to get on his hands and knees. He forgot how to he didn't laugh or giggle for years. And he can again now, but so once the formula was going into his stomach, he wasn't interested in nursing anymore. And then with the B12 injections, he got really, really shaky and quivery, and he then forgot how to suck. And from that moment on, the worst possible thing, he couldn't swallow. So we had to deal with that. It took almost 2 years for him to have a consistent swallow. I never put him on a permanent feeding tube. It scared me. And it was hard. It was hardest thing I've ever dealt with. Sammy. So, vegetarians also beware, okay? Take it from Sammy, you know? Anyway. Y'all have a good day. Sammy says bye too.